A sleek Mercedes S-Class pulls up to the Burj Al Arab at 2:47 a.m. The valet doesn't notice the diplomatic plates are counterfeit. He doesn't see the micro camera embedded in the driver's lapel. What he does see is another wealthy guest checking into the world's most luxurious hotel. 7 stars of marble, gold leaf, and absolute discretion. In room 2806, Dr. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh sleeps soundly, believing he's protected by wealth, anonymity, and 1,100 kilometers of desert between him and Tehran's watchers. He's wrong on all 3 counts. This is the story of how Mossad extracted Iran's top nuclear weapons scientist from a fortress of a hotel in the middle of Dubai. An operation so surgically precise that Fakhrizadeh didn't realize he'd been kidnapped until he was already over international waters. It's a tale of split-second timing, technological deception, and the kind of tradecraft that reads like fiction but left real fingerprints across 3 continents. Before we dive in, here's a question for you. If you could become invisible for 24 hours, what's the first thing you'd do? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what kind of chaos you'd unleash. Now, let's rewind to where this impossibility actually began. 6 months before that Mercedes ever touched Dubai asphalt. Mir Dagan doesn't sleep much anymore. At 3 a.m. in Tel Aviv, the director of Mossad sits in his fortress office on King Saul Boulevard, studying a single photograph projected across his wall. The man in the image wears civilian clothes, but his posture screams military. Dr. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, Organization of Defensive Innovation and Research. Iranian bureaucratic speak for the man building them a nuclear bomb. The Americans want him dead. The Saudis want him dead. The Israelis want something more valuable. They want him talking. Dagan makes a call. Within 18 minutes, 8 people materialize in his conference room. No names are exchanged. These are Kidon, Mossad's operational specialists who officially don't exist. The woman sitting closest to Dagan has extracted targets from Beirut, Damascus, and a moving train outside Vienna. The man to her left once spent 47 hours in a ventilation shaft in Tehran. They don't look like action heroes. They look like accountants, teachers, the forgettable people you pass in airports. Dagan lays out the situation without preamble. Fakhrizadeh travels to scientific conferences, thinking academic cover makes him invisible. It makes him predictable. A file appears on the center table. Inside, 3 years of surveillance photographs, credit card transactions analyzed by Unit 8200, cell tower data showing Fakhrizadeh's movements. One pattern emerges with crystal clarity. Every 4 months, he disappears to Dubai for 5 days. Same hotel, same suite, same pattern. The woman flips through bank records. Wire transfers to a diamond dealer in Dubai Marina. Gifts. He's not buying these for his wife in Tehran. He's having an affair. Another operative pulls up hotel blueprints on a tablet. The Burj Al Arab, 28 floors. Private island. Single causeway in and out. Security designed to stop paparazzi and thieves, not them. Dagan leans forward. The mission parameters are clear. Minimal footprint, 0 casualties, and Fakhrizadeh on an interrogation table in the Negev before IEA realizes he's missing. If this goes loud, they abort. If Dubai police get involved, they abort. If he so much as suspects something wrong, they abort. But there's another constraint. The Americans cannot know. The moment CIA learns they're attempting an extraction instead of an assassination, they'll want him. This stays inside Israeli intelligence, compartmentalized. The Prime Minister knows, Defense Minister knows. The other 16 agencies don't need to. 4 months to plan. 4 months to build an operation so seamless that a man would walk willingly into his own kidnapping. The clock starts now. Dubai glitters, but Mossad's advance team sees infrastructure. They arrive over 3 weeks, entering on 6 different passports. Canadian mining consultants, German hotel inspectors, British telecommunications engineers. No 2 operatives stay at the same hotel. No 2 eat at the same restaurants. They're ghosts, mapping a city that prides itself on being unmappable. The Burj Al Arab poses problems immediately. Situated on an artificial island 280 meters offshore, connected by a single causeway, the hotel is effectively a fortress. Every vehicle entering gets logged, every guest gets screened. Security cameras cover every corridor, every entrance, every angle of approach. The team leader reports back to Tel Aviv via encrypted satellite phone. They can't extract him through the front door. Too many cameras, too many witnesses. The causeway is a kill zone. One security guard raises an alarm, and they're trapped on an island. Dagan's response is simple, then don't use the door. The team leader stands on Jumeirah Beach at dawn, watching hotel staff arrive by boat. A maritime shuttle runs every 20 minutes, delivering linens, food supplies, staff. It docks at a private marina on the hotel's north side, a marina not visible from the causeway, not covered by the same intensity of security. Mossad doesn't just study the hotel, they study the rhythm. Delivery schedules, shift changes. The 17 minutes between 2:30 a.m. and 2:47 a.m., when the night security supervisor takes his smoke break on the south terrace, his back to the north marina. The fact that room 2806 shares a ventilation system with room 2804. The reality that Dubai police response time to the island averages 11 minutes in optimal conditions. They study Fakhrizadeh himself. Unit 8200 breaks into his email. Easy when a man uses the same password for everything. Fatima 1979, his daughter's name and birth year. They learn he always requests room 2806, that he orders the same room service every morning, Arabic coffee, dates, labna. That he video calls his wife in Tehran every night at 10 p.m. sharp. A dutiful husband maintaining the illusion while his mistress showers in the next room. They learn he takes sleep medication. Strong ones. 2 pills of Ambien every night, because jet lag ruins him. The woman examines pharmaceutical records obtained through a contact at Dubai Healthcare City. Ambien hits peak blood concentration in 90 minutes. He takes it at midnight like clockwork. By 1:30 a.m. he's in deep, non-REM sleep. Dead to the world for 4 hours minimum, that's their window. But knowing the window isn't enough. They need access. They need a reason to be in that hallway, in that room, without raising alarms. The solution comes from an unexpected source, the hotel's own paranoia about bedbugs. Luxury hotels live in terror of infestations. In one verified report, can destroy a reputation. The Burj Al Arab conducts monthly preventative treatments, cycling through floors on a fixed schedule. The team leader realizes they don't need to be guests. They need to be exterminators. 3 operatives spend 6 weeks infiltrating Dubai's pest control ecosystem, following actual exterminators, learning the jargon, studying chemical application techniques, understanding how hotels schedule these services. They need more than costumes. They need credibility. Mossad creates an entire company from scratch. Gulf Environmental Solutions. Business license filed with Dubai Municipality. Website built by Unit 8200 with backdate timestamps stretching back 3 years. Fake client testimonials. A registered office in Dubai Investment Park that's actually just a mail forwarding service. More importantly, they need someone inside the hotel, not an operative. Too risky. They need an actual employee, someone who doesn't know they're helping. Enter Rajesh Kumar, 3rd Shift Facilities Coordinator at the Burj Al Arab. 42 years old, Pakistani national, sending most of his salary back to Lahore to support aging parents and 3 younger siblings. 7 years at the hotel. Exemplary record. No political affiliations, no criminal history. Also, crushing medical debt from his father's kidney transplant last year. Mossad doesn't approach him directly, that would be sloppy. Instead, they create a problem. Unit 8200 hacks into the hotel's pest management database and inserts a false inspection report. Bedbug detection in the 28th floor south wing. The report is flagged as urgent, requiring immediate third-party verification before it can be dismissed. Rajesh receives the alert on his shift. Hotel management panics quietly. If this leaks, the reputational damage could be catastrophic. They need immediate professional verification. Rajesh is instructed to arrange emergency inspection from an outside contractor. Gulf Environmental Solutions, which has been carefully building a presence in Dubai's hospitality sector through small jobs at lesser hotels, gets the call. Their rates are competitive, their references check out. Most importantly, they can send a team tonight. Rajesh never suspects he's following a script written in Tel Aviv. The van arrives at 1:47 a.m., precisely on schedule. White Toyota Hiace, magnetic decals reading Gulf Environmental Solutions in English and Arabic. 3 technicians exit, 2 men, 1 woman. They wear company uniforms, carry legitimate equipment, present paperwork that Rajesh verifies against his clipboard. These aren't the same operatives who did reconnaissance. Those faces are now in archives, their passports burned. These 3 entered Dubai yesterday on fresh identities, a rotation Mossad uses to prevent pattern recognition. The lead technician is a woman who speaks Arabic with a Lebanese accent. She's actually from Haifa, but spent 8 years cultivating her cover. She smiles at Rajesh, makes small talk about the humidity, complains about late-night calls. Just another service worker doing a job. Rajesh escorts them through service corridors. The hotel at this hour is a different animal. Lights dimmed, hallways empty, the mechanical hum of air conditioning the only sound. They take a service elevator to the 28th floor. Rajesh unlocks the south wing's storage closet, shows them the supply room where they can work. He consults his sheet. Rooms 2804 through 2810 need inspection. All currently occupied, but guests have been informed. He provides a master keycard. The woman doesn't show any reaction to 2806 being on that list. Fakhrizade's room, currently occupied by a man who took his Ambien 47 minutes ago and is now deep in pharmaceutical sleep. Rajesh heads back to the facilities office, tells them to call extension 3340 if they need anything. He leaves them. A catastrophic security failure by ordinary standards, but the Burj Al Arab prides itself on discretion. Staff are trained not to hover, not to make guests feel watched. It's a philosophy designed for privacy. Mossad weaponizes it. Room 2804 is empty. The guest checked out this morning. The team enters, locks the door, and transforms. Extermination equipment gets pushed aside. From false bottom cases emerge items with different purposes entirely. First priority: verify the target is where he's supposed to be. The woman produces what looks like a smartphone, but isn't. She holds it against the wall, separating 2804 from 2806. On the screen, thermal imaging shows a single human figure in the adjacent room's bed. Heat signature consistent with deep sleep. No movement in the last 12 minutes. Fakhrizadeh is home. The male operative assembles something delicate. A medical kit that would make a field hospital jealous, syringes, IV bags, a portable cardiac monitor. They aren't planning to kill him. They're planning to keep him alive through what comes next. The third operative works on the door to 2806, not picking the lock. Too crude, leaves evidence. Instead, he holds the master keycard Rajesh provided against a small device that reads and clones the RFID chip. Takes 40 seconds. Now they have unlimited access, and the hotel's security logs will show nothing unusual, just standard master key use. But they don't go through the door. Not yet. Instead, the woman removes a ventilation grate in 2804's bathroom. The ductwork connects to 2806. The team verified this during reconnaissance. She inserts a fiber optic camera, threading it carefully through aluminum channels. On her tablet, grainy night vision footage shows Fakhrizade's suite from an overhead angle. One person in the bed. No one in the bathroom. No one in the sitting area. The door's security chain isn't engaged. Fakhrizadeh feels safe here, doesn't bother with physical locks. Arrogance. It's killed more careful men than him. 2:23 a.m. The security supervisor will take his smoke break in 7 minutes. That's their window. The 11 minutes when his attention is elsewhere, when cameras on the north side of the 28th floor operate on automatic recording with no one actively monitoring. The woman speaks into her wrist, a subvocal microphone picking up vibrations from her throat. Status green, proceeding to phase 2. In Tel Aviv, Mayor Dagan sits in a darkened operations room surrounded by screens. A technician updates the status board. Bloodstone, phase 2 authorized. 2:28 a.m. The security supervisor stubs out his first cigarette, lights a second. He's a Dubai Metro Police veteran, takes his breaks seriously. Like clockwork, the team moves. The cloned keycard works perfectly. The magnetic lock disengages with a whisper-quiet click. They enter room 2806 in complete darkness. No flashlights. No visible light. They wear night vision monoculars, fourth-generation models that turn the dark suite into green-tinted clarity. Fakhrizadeh sleeps on his back, mouth slightly open, one arm flung across the pillow. The sheets rise and fall with deep, regular breathing. Ambient sleep, the kind where the brain disconnects from the body, where sensory input gets filtered through chemical sedation. The male operative moves to the bedside first. He's a trained physician, served in Sayeret Matkal's medical unit before Mossad recruited him. In his hand, a syringe containing a cocktail of midazolam and propofol. Medical-grade sedation that will transition Fakhrizadeh from ambient sleep to controlled unconsciousness. He finds the radial artery in Fakhrizadeh's wrist, feels for the pulse. Strong, steady, 68 beats per minute. The needle enters. Fakhrizadeh doesn't wake. The drugs enter his bloodstream, spreading through arteries and capillaries, crossing the blood-brain barrier. Within 90 seconds, his breathing changes. Becomes deeper, more regular, the kind of breathing that won't change even if someone lifts him, moves him, carries him out of this room. The woman is already at the window, opening it carefully. The Burj Al Arab's suites feature floor-to-ceiling windows that don't open in most hotels. Liability, security. But in a 7-star resort catering to billionaires who want fresh air, windows open. She pushes it wide, feels humid night air flood the room. Below, 28 floors down, Dubai glitters. The Persian Gulf laps against the hotel's foundation. And approaching from the north, running dark with no navigation lights, a small speedboat cuts through black water. The physician checks Fakhrizadeh's vitals again. Heart rate, 62. Blood pressure, stable. Oxygen saturation, 98%. He's under, but he's safe. The line between sedation and respiratory depression is thin. Cross it, and their extraction becomes a body recovery. The third operative assembles what looks like climbing equipment, but isn't. A motorized winch, rated for 250 kilograms. Carbon fiber cable, nearly invisible against the building's exterior. He bolts the winch to the window frame using pressure clamps that distribute weight across the entire structure. No drilling, no permanent damage, nothing that will show after they're gone. The speedboat arrives at the North Marina. 2 figures emerge, dressed in hotel maintenance uniforms. They carry a large laundry cart, the industrial kind used for bulk bedding collection. They wheel it casually toward the service entrance, badges clipped to their chests. The badges are real, cloned from hotel employees during the reconnaissance phase. The security guard at the north entrance barely glances up. Inside room 2806, the team wraps Fakhrizadeh in the bedsheet. Not gently, this isn't a kidnapping movie. They work with clinical efficiency, securing the sheet around him like a cocoon. The physician attaches a portable pulse oximeter to Fakhrizadeh's finger, watches the readings on his phone. Still stable. They thread the carbon fiber cable through reinforced loops sewn into the sheet. The whole assembly becomes a makeshift rescue harness. Fakhrizadeh is now a package to be delivered. 2:34 a.m. 6 minutes until the security supervisor finishes his smoke break. The woman leans out the window, gives a hand signal to the speedboat below. A figure on the deck signals back with an infrared strobe, invisible to the naked eye, clear as day through night vision. They feed Fakhrizadeh out the window. The winch engages with a nearly silent electric hum. The cable goes taut. 28 floors of empty air below, and the unconscious nuclear scientist suspended in a bedsheet begins his descent down the side of the world's most luxurious hotel. The physician leans out, watching the descent through his monoculars. The cable turns slowly in the wind. Dubai's offshore breeze is gentle tonight, but at this height, every gust matters. Fakhrizadeh rotates like a slow-motion pinwheel, descending at controlled rate of 1 meter per second. On the ground, the 2 operatives with the laundry cart position themselves at the base of the building. They're in a blind spot between cameras, a 3-meter gap in coverage that the reconnaissance team identified. Luxury hotels don't like cameras pointed at rooms, privacy concerns. It creates exploitable spaces. 90 seconds. Fakhrizadeh descends past the 20th floor, the 15th, the 10th. The cable whispers against the building's exterior, a sound like wind through palm trees, nothing that would trigger attention. The physician monitors vitals on his phone, heart rate increasing slightly. 68 now. The body responding to changes in position, to motion, but not to consciousness. The sedation holds. 5th floor, 3rd floor. The operatives below reach up, guide the descending package. Their hands grip the sheet, control the final meters of descent. Fakhrizadeh touches down on concrete with barely a sound. They cut the cable, detach the harness points. The carbon fiber whispers back up to the 28th floor, the motorized winch rewinding at high speed. In the room above, the 3rd operative disconnects the winch, closes the window, removes all evidence of the anchor points. Below, Fakhrizadeh gets transferred into the laundry cart. They arrange actual linens over and around him, camouflage that will pass casual inspection. The pulse oximeter stays attached, hidden beneath layers of sheets. If his vitals crash, they'll know immediately. 2:38 a.m. The security supervisor grinds out his second cigarette, heads back inside. The laundry cart wheels toward the North Marina. The security guard at the entrance is the same one who let them in. He barely looks up from his phone. In his world, maintenance staff moving laundry at odd hours is completely normal. The Burj Al Arab never sleeps. Logistics run 24/7. They reach the speedboat. Transfer the cart. The engines, electric, whisper quiet, engage. The boat pulls away from the marina, heading north into open water. No running lights, no radio traffic. Just another shadow on the Persian Gulf. Back in room 2806, the team works with frantic precision. They remake the bed with sheets from their equipment cases, identical thread count, identical hotel branding, pulled from a Burj Al Arab linen supplier using a false purchase order 3 months ago. They place pillows to create the suggestion of a sleeping form. From more than a few feet away, in low light, it looks like someone's still in bed. They collect every trace of their presence. The used syringe goes into a sharps container. The medical equipment disappears into false bottom cases. The woman runs an electrostatic duster over every surface they might have touched, collecting skin cells, hair, any biological evidence. The physician does one final sweep with a UV light, checking for any fluids, any signs of struggle. Nothing. The room looks exactly as it did when they entered. 2:41 a.m. They exit through the door, lock it behind them. The cloned keycard gets wiped and destroyed, snapped in half, the chips crushed, the pieces separated into different trash receptacles. In the security logs, the door to 2806 was never opened after Fakhrizadeh entered at 11:47 p.m. They return to room 2804, repack their equipment as pest control gear. The transformation takes 90 seconds. When they emerge into the hallway, they're exterminators again, carrying spray tanks and inspection clipboards. Rajesh meets them in the service corridor, asks about the inspection results. The woman shows him a tablet with fabricated scan data. No infestation detected, all clear. Rajesh looks relieved. Crisis averted, reputation protected. He escorts them back to the service entrance, thanks them for the quick response. The white Toyota Hiace pulls away from the Burj Al Arab at 2:53 a.m. Airport Road. The van will be abandoned in a long-term parking lot, its magnetic decals removed, its interior wiped clean. The operatives will scatter to different flights: Frankfurt, London, Istanbul. Their current identities will burn at dawn. On the Persian Gulf, the speedboat cuts through darkness. Fakhrizadeh remains unconscious, his vitals stable, wrapped in hotel linens like a bizarre gift. They're headed for international waters, for a rendezvous point 20 nautical miles offshore. The physician checks his watch. They have 6 hours before Fakhrizadeh's mistress wakes and expects him for breakfast. 6 hours before room service knocks on a door that won't be answered. 6 hours before anyone realizes something is wrong. At 3:17 a.m., the speedboat reaches the coordinates. A fishing trawler waits. Panamanian registry, actually owned by a shell company traced back through 4 layers to a Mossad front in Cyprus. The trawler has legitimate fishing permits, a legitimate cargo of Gulf Hammer in the hold, and a legitimate crew that happens to include a doctor and 2 former Shayatet 13 naval commandos. They transfer Fakhrizadeh aboard. The speedboat turns back toward shore, where it will be scuttled in shallow water, any evidence sinking into Gulf mud. The trawler's engines rumble to life, heading southwest toward Omani waters. Below deck, in a compartment hidden behind false bulkheads, Fakhrizadeh begins to wake. The sedation is wearing off by design. They need him conscious for the flight, need him able to walk with assistance. Unconscious passengers raise questions at airports. His eyes flutter open. Confusion, disorientation. He tries to sit up, finds restraints holding him to a medical bed. An IV line runs into his arm, saline and midazolam, keeping him calm but conscious. A man sits beside him, speaks in Farsi, tells him he's safe, that he's being protected, that Iranian intelligence discovered a plot against his life and extracted him for his own safety. The cover story is already built. 3 operatives in Dubai, sent by IAEA inspectors who'd been bribed by Israel, planning to kill him in his hotel room. His own government pulled him out, brought him to safety. Fakhrizadeh's eyes widen. He asks about his wife, his daughter. The man assures him they're being protected too, that he'll be able to contact them soon. All lies, but necessary ones. The goal is compliance, not cooperation. They need him to board a plane willingly, to walk through an airport without raising alarms. The trawler reaches Omani waters by dawn. A car waits in a small fishing village outside Muscat. Another layer of the operation, another set of false documents. Fakhrizadeh, now dressed in civilian clothes, appears to be a businessman being driven to the airport. The midazolam keeps him compliant, confused, not quite able to piece together that the men around him aren't speaking with Iranian accents. Muscat International Airport, 7:42 a.m. A private charter flight is waiting, registered to a Turkish logistics company, flight plan filed for Ankara with a refueling stop in Jordan. The crew is Turkish, the plane is Turkish, everything is legitimately Turkish except the passengers. Fakhrizadeh boards with assistance. To airport security, he looks ill, perhaps food poisoning, perhaps exhaustion. His handlers explain he's a business associate who needs to return home for medical care. Documentation is presented. Passports, medical letters, corporate authorizations, all forgeries, all impeccable. The plane lifts off at 8:15 a.m. Fakhrizadeh sits in a plush leather seat, IV still attached to his arm, confusion deepening as the midazolam wears off enough for clarity to emerge. He looks out the window, sees terrain that doesn't match what he expects. One of his handlers, the physician from Dubai, sits across from him. Finally drops the pretense. Explains in Persian, clearly and without emotion, that Fakhrizadeh is now in Israeli custody. That he's being taken to a secure facility. That the cooperation he provides will determine how the rest of his life unfolds. Fakhrizadeh's face drains of color. He understands now. The hotel room, the impossible gap in his memory, the way his muscles feel weak, drugged. He's been kidnapped by Mossad, extracted from Dubai while he slept, and he's currently over Jordanian airspace heading for Israel. He asks what will happen to his family. The physician's answer is honest. Nothing, if Fakhrizadeh cooperates. Iran can't acknowledge his capture without admitting their nuclear program's chief architect was compromised. They'll claim he defected, spin propaganda, but his wife and daughter will be safe. Moscow rules. Family members aren't assets, they're leverage. The plane doesn't land in Ankara. Over Jordan, it diverts southeast, dropping altitude as it crosses into Israeli airspace. The flight plan change was authorized hours ago, routed through channels that don't raise flags. By 11:30 a.m., the plane touches down at a military airbase in the Negev. Fakhrizadeh descends the stairs on shaking legs. The desert heat hits him like a hammer. Around him, armed soldiers. Ahead, a nondescript building that could be administrative offices or could be interrogation facilities. He'll learn which soon enough. In Dubai, chaos is just beginning. The Burj Al Arab's morning housekeeping knocked on room 2806 at 9:00 a.m. Got no response. They tried again at 9:30 a.m. At 10:00 a.m., security opened the door with a master key. The bed appeared occupied, pillows arranged under covers, suggesting a sleeping form. But when they approached, when they pulled back the sheets, they found nothing. The room was empty. Dr. Fakhrizadeh had vanished. Hotel security reviewed footage. The cameras showed Fakhrizadeh entering his room at 11:47 p.m. the previous night. The security logs showed the door never opening again. No one entered. No one left. The window had been closed all night according to environmental sensors, and yet the room was empty. Dubai police arrived within the hour. They found a mystery with no answer, no signs of struggle, no blood, no evidence of forced entry. The room's security chain wasn't engaged, but the door had remained locked. The guest had simply disappeared. The mistress, questioned separately, knew nothing. She confirmed Fakhrizadeh had been staying at the hotel, confirmed their relationship, confirmed he'd seemed normal the previous evening. She'd left him at 11:00 p.m., gone to her own apartment in Dubai Marina. When she returned at 9:00 a.m. for breakfast, he was gone. The investigation would go nowhere. Dubai police would review thousands of hours of footage, finding nothing. They'd interview staff, finding nothing. They'd analyze the room for forensics, finding hotel-standard cleaning residue and nothing else. The case would haunt investigators, a locked room mystery in the modern age, a disappearance that defied physical explanation. Iranian intelligence would eventually piece together what happened. The timeline was too clean, the execution too precise. Mossad. But acknowledging that meant acknowledging Fakhrizadeh was in enemy hands. It meant acknowledging their nuclear program's security had been catastrophically compromised. Instead, they issued a terse statement. Dr. Fakhrizadeh had defected to the West, had been a traitor all along. His family would spend years under suspicion, their lives destroyed by a lie designed to protect state secrets. In the Negev, Fakhrizadeh sits in a comfortable interrogation room. Not the dungeon he expected. Israel has learned that cooperation comes easier when conditions are reasonable. He has a bed, a bathroom, adequate food. What he doesn't have is freedom or any illusion about his situation. The debriefing begins on day 3, once the drugs have fully cleared his system. Mossad's interrogators are patient. They don't threaten. They don't torture. They simply present the mathematics of his situation. Help us understand Iran's nuclear program, or spend the rest of your life in administrative detention. Your choice. Fakhrizadeh talks. Not immediately. He's not weak. But over weeks, then months, the isolation works on him. The realization that he's been erased from Iranian official history. The knowledge that even if released tomorrow, he could never return home. His life, as he knew it, ended in that Dubai hotel room. He provides diagrams, locations of enrichment facilities, names of other scientists, technical specifications of centrifuge cascades, the granular details that satellite imagery can't capture, that signals intelligence can't intercept. The kind of intelligence that intelligence agencies would kill for, literally, in some cases. The Americans wanted him dead for what he knew. The Israelis wanted him talking. They got their wish. Mayor Dagan reviews the intelligence hall 6 months after the operation. Fakhrizadeh's debriefing has yielded insights that will set Iran's nuclear program back years. Facilities thought to be civilian research are revealed as weapons development. Scientists thought to be loyal are identified as regime skeptics who might be flipped. Procurement networks spanning from China to Brazil are mapped and disrupted. The operation cost Mossad approximately $4 million, 18 months of planning, and the permanent burning of multiple cover identities. In exchange, they got Iran's nuclear chief and a roadmap to dismantling his life's work. The Dubai extraction was never publicly acknowledged. The few officials who knew the full story kept it locked in classified archives. But within intelligence communities, the operation became legend. A textbook case of precision planning, technological integration, and human psychology weaponized. The Burj Al Arab eventually closed the file on the disappearance. The room was deep cleaned, renovated, and rented out again. Guests slept in room 2806 with no idea a man had been extracted from that very bed, lowered down the side of the building while they dreamed in adjacent suites. Fakhrizadeh remains in Israeli custody to this day, his location classified, his existence officially denied. His family believes he's a traitor. Iran claims he defected. The truth, that he was drugged and extracted in one of the most sophisticated kidnapping operations in modern history, remains buried under layers of official denial and operational security. The only trace of that night in Dubai is a single entry in Mossad's operational database, codename Bloodstone. Status: complete. Details: redacted. And somewhere in the Negev desert, in a facility that doesn't officially exist, a man who once built nuclear weapons stares at concrete walls and remembers the last normal moment of his life, taking 2 Ambien pills in a 7-star hotel, believing himself safe, believing he'd wake to breakfast and his mistress's smile. He was wrong, and by the time he understood that, he was already over international waters, wrapped in bedsheets. The prisoner of a nation he'd spent his career trying to destroy.